Okay, quadratic storytelling. This is like your word problems of the past, but we're going to work on you interpreting more and hopefully panicking less. So given a function, the height in feet of a cannonball over time in seconds is given by h of t, so it's the height over time, is equal to negative 16t squared plus 128t plus 2. And I'm going to want you to tell me the story and sketch the graph. There's basically three things to a story. You've got the beginning, you've got the middle, and you've got the end. So the first part, the beginning, what's happening in the beginning? Well, the beginning is when t is 0, after 0 seconds. So what happens when t is 0? Well, I don't know. Let's plug it in and find out. So when you put 0 into the function, which means you're substituting in 0, every single place there's a t. What you're going to find is that 0 squared is 0, 0 times that is 0, 128 times 0 is 0. So what you just get is this number at the end, your constant. So what that means is after 0 seconds, the height of the cannonball was 2 feet. And what that really means is that that's probably like the height of the cannon itself. So our first sentence is the cannonball left the cannon at a height of 2 feet. That's the beginning of your story. The middle of your story is going to be for us like the big thing that happens in the middle. Now, what happens in the middle is this cannonball is going to hit some height that is the maximum height. And the math term for that is going to be the vertex. And you learned how to do that already. So negative b over 2a, that's going to give you the time that the cannonball reaches the max height. Negative b over 2a, that's negative 128 over 2 times negative 16, which gives you a value, let's see, that's negative 128 divided by negative 32, which is 4. So after 4 seconds, it's going to reach the maximum height. Well, how do we find out what that is? Just like before, we plug in 4 for t. So we do h of 4, and so that's negative 16 times 4 squared, plus 128 times 4, plus 2. And that gives us a height of 258 feet. So, to continue on with our story over here, the cannonball reached a max height of 258 feet after 4 seconds. Alright, and the last thing we want to know is, how does the story end? When does the cannonball hit the ground? Well, you learned from your last test how to find the zeros of the function. So when you're looking at this, now I'm going to go ahead and sort of sketch what we have so far. Because what we have, if you make this, like this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, you know it left from a height of 2 feet. It went up and it hit a maximum, we'll say that was after 4 seconds, it hit 258 feet. And then it's going to come down, and you can kind of already get the idea that it's going to be somewhere, well, I didn't draw it that well because it's not that perfect, but somewhere, you know, a little maybe over 8, because since it started out a little bit higher than 0. So if you do second trace inner 5 3 times to get that x-intercept, like we did on the last test, then you're going to find that the cannonball, it is around 8 seconds. The cannonball fell back to the ground. And I don't want you to round too much. So let's say it's 8.01559 seconds. I'm not that picky, but I'm worried that later on somebody else might be. Okay. Alright, that is your first story. We will do one more before we finish the set of notes.